Hello, Ricky Keith here again. Today is going to be a slightly different video, a bit of an unboxing and show off, and perhaps something of interest to one or two of you that might be interested in looking at showing plants. Yesterday was the East Midlands Orchid Society show. It's the first show I've managed to hold in 3 years thanks to COVID, and it did very, very well. We needed 200 people to come through the door to break even just by door entries, and we got over 190. And we also had a tombola and a little cafe area, and they both did well. So there's pretty much certain we're going to make a slight profit, and apparently not that many societies have been able to do that this year. They're struggling to recover from COVID. We're apparently our show secretary is already looking towards the next one, which might be next spring rather than next autumn. We'll see. Right, let's start with what I bought. Start off with the bits that aren't orchids. Burnham Nurseries were there, and I bought some of their what they call medium bark. I don't know how well you can see that. I think you can see some of it. It's smaller than what anything else I've got, so that'll make a nice addition for some of my other plants. So that was good. Peter White was there from Orchid Accessories UK, and I got a bottle of this stuff. Now, it's not me recommending it, I'm just saying I bought that because it was recommended by one of our members. Peter said it's very good, but he thinks you could do with adding just a couple of drops and no more of fairy liquid to it to help even more to break down the surface tension and make sure you get the little beasties. But he also said that although it does a very good job, it's not a one-shot thing. You've got to keep spraying for a while until you've definitely not got them anymore, because you've got to catch the different stages of the lifestyle in the parasites. So you probably can't kill the eggs. You might kill any larvae. You can kill the adults. You can't. So if you will, even if you kill all the adults, you've got some eggs. They've got to hatch. What have you. I also learned, again from one of our older members, very, very, very experienced members, been in the trade and all sorts, and he said that although it's not universally accepted, he is absolutely certain that there is a flying stage with mealybugs. I thought there might be something a little bit like you get with small spiders when they start to hatch, where they throw some silk out and then get carried by the wind. I thought it might be something like that, because I've had them appear out of nowhere, and it's usually when I start opening the windows in here. And you might get them on one orchid and then another one 5 or 6 down the line, and nothing in between, even if they're all the same type. And Mike said, yeah, he had suspicions for a long time. Then one day he actually knocked a pot as he was getting it down to deal with some mealybugs he could see, and a load of white flies came off it, which to him is reasonable proof there's a potential flying stage. I suppose it could be a little bit like ants, that they don't all swarm. They can migrate on foot, but they might be like to fly as well, just to give them a bit better spread. So I'm going to give that one a try, because just using water and washing up liquid, fairy liquid or whatever, dish soap I think the Americans call it, hasn't done a great job for me. Also from Peter, I've got a nice mesh pot. I might try that with cattleyas, or something that really needs lots of air around its roots. that's a bit bigger. I've got an idea. My other white Cattleya needs a look at, so I might have a look about putting that in there or seeing where we go. It's got holes in, so I can hang that without too much trouble. We also won a plant in the lottery. This is down as Enanthleya tinctoria. It's the oxeye daisy, sometimes called a yellow chamomile. So it's an outdoor plant, nice little pot full. We'll plant that out and see where it goes. But so you can see all sorts of stuff available. So what did I actually buy? Well, amazingly enough, that sellotape is sticky. This is a type I've not kept before. It's claimed that it's very tolerant. It grows warm to cool, likes to be humid, so that might be a challenge. But we shall see. So that's this. This is Maxillaria cucullata. Got that from Burnham's. They had several on offer. I can't see it on their website, so I think they have had it. So I think these must be the last few they were selling off. They're not there now, though there are some other Maxillarias. It appears that a little bit like petalums, they throw flowers out of the sides of new pseudobulbs. So this was the better of the two. It's slightly more expensive. I paid £15 for it. But you've got what, 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got 5 established pseudobulbs. You've got 1, 2, 3. You've got 4, possibly 5 new growths there. So, yep, there's another little one there. So this is a plant which is very happy, and I hope I'm going to be able to keep that with it. It's an unusual flower, yellow with that almost, well, to most people you'd say that was black, even if it is probably a very, very, very dark purple by rights. So Maxillaria cucullata, we'll see how that one goes, but given the state of these pseudobulbs, which are absolutely solid and big and plump and lovely, I think I've got a very good chance of getting that one going. This is effectively a replacement. The golden nugget that my daughter's bought me from Lawrence Hobbs for my birthday last year has died. Thankfully one of those two, the Xingming Beauty, is doing far better and looks as if it might well flower very soon. But this is, well, it's been bought as Epilaeliocattleya Circus Lady Orange. I did look it up and the name's changed to something a little bit shorter but still a little bit obscure, but it'll do for now. I bought this from a very small outfit called Phoenix Orchids, which are in, I think it's Halifax, it's Yorkshire anyway. They're a British based outfit. They basically attend shows. I don't know whether they advertise, but unlike most plants we buy, which are imports, Burnhams do grow stuff themselves. They have big plants and they'll split some off. Arthur had got some Zygopetalum species, very small, almost a miniature, and I was quite tempted until he said the problem with these is they have a very long distance between pseudobulbs, so he says it never looks neat and tidy, it's always getting out of hand and they're difficult to come by. But that was grown from seed. That was about £3 or £4, so I didn't bother with that. This lovely little Cattleya type has cost me £13, and I think that's pretty good. The pseudobulbs are a little bit shrunken, but not too bad. We've got lots of roots in there. Lots of roots and nice new ones at the base of this new growth. So I think we've got a good chance of this one going. It doesn't look like it's going to get a lot bigger because this pseudobulb here has the remains of a flower spike. So with a bit of luck it's only going to be that kind of size, because there were some astonishing plants there, plants that you really don't see. There was I think it was called an Ottoglossum on the Burnham stand, and it was a colossal thing. Talk about a climber. The extension, the next new growth, came out halfway up the side of the existing one, and went up, and then it was about 6 or 8 inches before it started to grow, and the next one was the same, and they were trying to grow it up a moss pole, but even so it was going to be a struggle, and that looked like being a bit of a monster. There were some absolutely colossal cotyledons, but I can't grow them. Can't grow cotyledons. In fact, I've agreed with somebody who grows them very well in our society. The last little bit of my Fimbriata, I'm going to give it him, because it might as well do him a bit of good as do me none at all. But yes, I'm quite happy with, oh hello, we have some scale. Oh, that's nice. We have some scale. That's something I've never had to play with before. Are they dead? No, I don't think so. Right, they're going to have to be dealt with. Might have actually come off, or it might be dead, but that will have to be sprayed then before I do a lot more with it. I'm assuming it's scale, little round grey things on the leaves. Left a mark behind where it's been, but yes, we'll have a look at that. But nevertheless, I think that's quite a nice plant. We've got lots of roots, we've got a nice sturdy new growth going, starting to swell at the base. So, okay. Now the last little bit. I had 5 plants on the stand. None of them got anywhere. I wasn't expecting them to. This might have done. I could have kept my fingers crossed, but I don't grow plants to show. It's not something I do. I'm not a pot hunter like that. If it's growing well, I'm happy. And it didn't. And I got talking to one of our members who's an RHS judge, and I said, last weekend, Steve, you said to me that this was a nicely grown plant. I said, what else would I have to do to it to turn this into something that the judges would look at? And he said, right. He said, the first thing is that you did, which is good, is that you cut the stake back. Judges don't like to see a big stake sticking up above the point where a lot of spikes do turn over to come across the flower. He said, if you've got that, like this one here, that spike needs to be, to all intents and purposes, hidden. It shouldn't stick up, otherwise it might detract from the thing. He said, the other thing is you've got 2 nodes on that stem that didn't produce flowers. So you've got one on this side, one on that side, no flowers, so you've got a gap, so that automatically marks you down. You've got buds coming, which is great, but at the moment you've only got 5 out. And even if that was in full flow, it's an unwritten rule, but they like to see 50% of the buds on a spike out when it's on a stand. It's an unwritten rule, but it's one of those secondary things that a judge will use to choose between 2 plants that are equal on every other footing, but they've got to choose between the 2 for an award. And that's the kind of thing they'll do. What we were told is to take out all the white labels, and these were put into black pots. Now we didn't, if the pot your plant is in is smaller than the available pot, it's packed around with bark to dress it up so you can't see the clear lid. It must be in a dark pot. And with this one, we didn't have a pot that would take this and get this below the rim to do that with. So this had some black cloth, which is the same as the cloth we used to cover the tables that they were stood on. And this was put around. So as I say, that's just a few points that were told to me, that if you've got a plant that's growing well and looking healthy and all the rest of it, and it goes onto a show stand, and believe me, you know, plants that you think, well, that's not very clever, it makes a display. It helps pad things out. My Doritis pulcherrima, which is now, they confirmed is now Phalaenopsis pulcherrima, the white one, that's pretty near over. There's a lot of flowers gone off the spike, and I said, took it in, I said, do you want it? It's going. He said, yeah, fine, it'll do. And it went there, and people were looking at it and said, oh, that's a different plant. So it's anything to fill the space up and draw a little bit of attention. I mean, we had some astonishing things. There was a species on Oncidium which had a spike, oh dear, it was at 4 or 5 feet long and branching out in a typical Oncidium style. Huge thing. I mean, most of us wouldn't have the room for it. You know, where would I put anything like that? You know, you'd have the spike in the roof as easy as anything. I have trouble with this, never mind anything else. There were some fabulous cattleyas. They're an absolutely gorgeous, sort of purpley orange one. But again, this thing was, you know, standing 18 inches out the top of the pot. It was in a deep pot anyway, so big plants. But I did see things that were of interest on other society stands. There was a society near us, the North East, had several Vandas in glass vases. Well, I don't know whether you can see from from there, I'm not sure you can, but I've kept my sole remaining Vanda in a glass jar for as long as I've had it, and it's not done brilliantly well, but it's done better this year because I've kept it better watered. But what they did, they got the little tiny basket that they all come with, and they attached that to a piece of cork, and that supported it inside the vase. And the vase, it's not really trumpet shaped, but the kind of thing where it comes from a narrow base and kind of, so it doesn't come back in again, it kind of came up and just kept opening up. So the top was probably, I don't know, 4 inches, 100 mil diameter at the top, probably about half that at the bottom. But the whole Vanda sat in that, and there was a mass of roots in the bottom. And it didn't look as if it was disturbed very often, so I suspect they did what I used to do when I first got that one, fill the vase up, cover the roots, and then siphon everything back out again. So we can get some ideas of what to grow. but also get some ideas of the incredible range of orchids. So you've got things like my pink twilight with flowers that are, I don't know, 3 inches across, 75 mil, and there was several people showing Stelis or Stelis. I tend to pronounce it Stelis with a single L, and their flowers are almost microscopic. And one of our members had a bit of a laugh in his voice. He had a tiny little Stelis, which was pretty much on its first flowering. And he said, somebody said, "Oh, bring anything you've got in flower." He said, "Oh, I brought this in." And the buds were almost invisible, and there was this tiny, tiny little green shape at the base of one of these spikes. And I said, "Is that a flower?" And he said, "Yes." It wasn't that much bigger than a large pinhead. So, you know, there are such an incredible array of orchids. There's something for everybody. So, that's enough of me waffling away. Thank you for watching. I hope I've said something of a bit of interest to you, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.